be on the mound to start things off, and he will face this North Valley Knights lineup. Batting first and playing second base is number 2, Cade Kissel. Batting second and playing center field is number 22, Kyler Smith. Batting third and playing shortstop is number 5, Kevin Olmstead. Batting fourth and catching is number 23, Jake Segura. Batting fifth and playing third base is number 1, Perry Gage. Batting sixth and pitching is number 3, Kyle Streeter. Batting seventh and playing first base is number 6, Elias Stagemiller. Batting eighth and playing left field is number 20, Sean Kindy. And batting ninth and playing right field is number 8, Lauren Hergenther. Again, that lineup is going to face Cody Coggins. And Cody is a junior this year. We've seen him since he was a freshman. He also plays basketball. And I believe he plays football as well. I'm not sure. But be that as it may, he's back on the mound. Was a part as a freshman of that state championship team 2 years ago. So he will take the mound here this afternoon. Our first baseball game of the regular season. We're just about ready to go. Cade Kissel. He is the coach's son, Curtis Kissel. And he takes the first pitch in there for a strike. 0-1 to count. Cade is a freshman. And the lone freshman on this team. Here's the delivery. And a swing and a miss. A strike. 0-2 to count.
Tab 9. So fill it up.
And I mentioned a very busy day of sports over at the softball fields. I'll tell you about that in a second. That's high and outside for a ball. 1-2 to count. The North Medford Spring Break Invitational going on over at the softball fields. All the fields being used. Well over 30 teams represented in the Invitational. And that is a swing and a miss and a strikeout for Cody Coggins.
Oh, way to work.
I was just over there taping just one game, and it was a mob scene over there as Eagle Point played the Glencoe Crimson Tide. We're up 5-0, wound up losing the ball game 8-5, a heartbreaking loss, and the second one of the day for Eagle Point. They lost to the Summit Apollos 9-8 in 8 innings in the 8 a.m. game. Kyler Smith now at the plate, and he pops this one, and this one's going to go out of play over everyone's head. And looks like it went over onto the soccer fields over yonder. So 0-1 to count. I'll tell you, if they bring back an indoor or arena football team here to Southern Oregon, they have fields to play on because it's turf. Or at least to practice on. Here's the delivery and a bunt. And Coggins will pick it up, underhanded to first, and get the out. So Coggins definitely helping his own cause right now with a strikeout and a throwout. So again, high school baseball battle. He's a left fielder and is a junior. Here's the pitch.
Good pitch.
That's outside for a ball. 1-0 to count.
Fill it up.
Cody getting off to a great start, as are the Cascade Christian Challengers last weekend, I believe. 12-2 winners over Umpqua Valley Christian, the state runners-up in 2A, 1A last year. Got to travel up to watch them play Country Christian in Malala, and they pulled the upset, but lost to Grant Union. And there's a chopper right to second base. The same. Bobby Jones, Paul Shea, and Paul's son. I forgot his name. I want to say Brian Shea, but I'm not sure. But at least I know. It's Bobby Shea, I think. Well, Bobby Jones and Paul Shea are back as assistants, but the head man now is Nate Maben, and that is a ball. 2-0 to count. As up to the plate is Kevin Olmstead, a senior shortstop and a heck of a basketball player. I'll tell you about those credentials here in a moment. Swing and a foul tip. 2-1 to count. Got to watch Kevin play some basketball when the Knights hosted Hidden Valley. And it was one of those that helped spur the Knights to victory, coming from behind to beat Hidden Valley. And there's a swing and a miss, 2-2 to count. And speaking of Hidden Valley, we're going to get a chance to watch them play a home game. I believe it'll be against Eagle Point. I'll have to check my schedule. And there it's popped up and out of play. Looks like it headed back over to the soccer field again, which will be field 11. So the count remains at 2-2, and we have a scoreboard operational this afternoon. We did not have one last week at the Cascade softball game. And Cascade softball not having a good year. Make it over there in time, as North Valley's softball team will take on Marist. And here's the pitch. That's high for a ball. And then as soon as that's done, we tear down and we head over either here or to Meese Field, depending on what the weather conditions are like, when St. Mary's takes on South Umpqua in a doubleheader.
Nice pitch.
And that's in there for a strike.
Yeah, live there.
1-1 to count. But if the baseball games are canceled, then we'll just stick around to maybe do maybe one or two more softball games. And that's in there for a strike. 1-2 to count. Coggins has blown him right down the middle. And here's the delivery. Swing and a miss on Age coming to the plate. He is a third baseman and a sophomore himself. And here's the first pitch. And that's low and outside for a ball. 1-0 to count. And coming up a little later, we'll give you a schedule. It's unfortunately limited this year because of my work schedule. And that's popped up. And Tristan Jones looks like he may have this one. Next up is the pitcher, Kyle Streeter. We mentioned him earlier. Solid inning for him up on the mound at the bottom of the first. Now he takes a strike, 0-1 to count. Once again, glad to be here at Charter Field, although I have DirecTV at home. And here's the delivery, and that's low for a ball. 1-1 to count. And I think it was about a week or so ago, just added CBS Sports Network, along with a few others. And reason why? I want to watch my arena football, especially with the Portland Thunder kicking things off this year. And that's popped up, and that's going to go out of play. So the count is 1-2. It was the thrill to watch Portland, even though they got blown out by the San Jose SaberCats last week. They have a chance at redemption against the equally struggling Iowa Barnstormers. But in 2 weeks, they'll be back on TV as they'll take on the LA Kiss down in Anaheim. And that's high for a ball. 2-2 to count. Yes, I kid you not. A football team called the Kiss. Figure out who owns the team. Yep, Gene and Paul. Now here's the delivery. Mount Shasta, but we already penciled in Eagle Point versus Cascade in a single game. And oh, look out! You missed it off camera, but Bobby Jones taking evasive action as that bullet was heading right his direction. 0-1 to count to Elias Stagemiller. He's first baseman, and he is a sophomore. Here's the delivery. Ooh, inside. 1-1 to count. So both teams had a no-hitter going up until it was broken up by Cascade Christian on their end. Here's the delivery, and that's outside for a ball. 2-1 to count. And now the delivery, and that's in there for a strike. 2-2 to count.
They want to work both sides.
We were hoping Jim McCoy would come out and help out with the game, but
Go fill it up.
has family things to do. But should the Cascade Christian make the playoffs, pretty much guarantee you that they will be. They'll be covering the challengers, especially if they're at Harry and David Field. That one's fouled off. Count remains at 2-2, although in the semifinal game with Bandon winning that game, but Jim McCoy and Bill Jacobs, who now is at KFBI My 48, but also still the voice of the Medford Rogues, as that's fouled off. Count remains at 2-2. Bill Jacobs called that game with Jimbo, and I'll tell you what, neither one of them skipped a beat, I'll tell you that. Now the pitch on the way from Coggins.
Oh, yeah.
Apollo's 9-8 in 8 innings in the 8 a.m. game. Kyler Smith now at the plate, and he pops this one, and this one's going to go out of play over everyone's head. And Looks like it went over onto the soccer fields over yonder. So 0-1 to count. I'll tell you, if they bring back an indoor or arena football team here to Southern Oregon, they have fields to play on because it's turf. Or at least to practice on. Here's the delivery and a bunt, and Coggins will pick it up, underhanded to first. And he'll take the first pitch from Coggins coming up. That's in there for a strike, 0-1 to count. Got a good group of folks that came down from, come over from Josephine County, and that's fouled off. Count now 0-2. As I mentioned, North Valley High School from Merlin, Oregon, which is just about a mile or two north of Grants Pass. They're out of the Three Rivers School District. The other two schools are Illinois Valley from Cave Junction and Hidden Valley from Murphy. And now here's the delivery, and that's fouled back to the fence. Count remains 0-2. We'll give you some of the scores entering the 12 noon contests, the 2 o'clock contests from the softball tournament, and there were a lot of them. Here's the delivery, and that is fouled off. Count remains at 0-2. As I said, we were over there for the Eagle Point contest with Glencoe, and heartbreaking loss for them, for Eagle Point, blowing a 5-0 lead to lose 8-5 to the Crimson Tide. And if you're a Glencoe fan, I think you can say roll Tide. Although I think the University of Alabama will want a residual check for that one. Here's the delivery, and that one is grounded right to the second baseman. That's Clark again. Throws to first.